My name is Athena Foster, and I was 29 years old when my mother called me for the first time in 12 years. She did not say hello. She did not say, I missed you. She did not say, I am sorry. She said, your sister needs to hear this from you. I was sitting at my desk at the nonprofit where I had worked for 3 years. A cup of cold coffee, a stack of intake forms, a Tuesday afternoon like any other. Then a number I did not recognize. Then a voice I had spent 12 years trying to forget. My mother wanted me to call my younger sister Lily and convince her to marry Gerald Harmon. The same Gerald Harmon she had tried to make me marry when I was 17. He was 44 now. Lily was 17. My mother said it like she was asking me to pass the salt. What happened at the dinner table 3 weeks later got me disowned a second time. But this time, I had something I did not have at 17. Welcome back to Calm Drama Stories, the place where we share family stories that stay with you long after the screen goes dark. If this is your first time here, subscribe and tap the bell. Drop a comment if you have ever had family call you after years of silence, not to apologize, but to ask for something. Now, let us get into it. I grew up in a town where everyone knew your middle name and your grandmother's maiden name, and exactly what you had for dinner last Thursday. 1,200 people, 1 grocery store, 2 churches, 0 secrets. My mother, Margaret Foster, ran that town's gossip the way some people run marathons, with endurance and no intention of stopping. She sat on every committee, attended every service, and made sure our family looked exactly the way she wanted it to look. Perfect. Obedient. Grateful. My father, Robert, read the newspaper at breakfast and the newspaper at dinner and said almost nothing in between. He had opinions. You could see them cross his face sometimes, quick as a cloud over the sun, but he never said them out loud. Silence was his signature. Aunt Constance, my mother's older sister, lived 4 houses down and treated our front door like her own. She knew everything about everyone and considered it a public service to make sure everyone knew she knew. I was 17. Spring of my senior year. I had a plan I had not told anyone about. Community college, 40 miles east, an associate degree in something practical. A way out that did not require permission. In our town, girls married young. Girls married who they were told to marry. Girls who did not were talked about at the church potluck in voices just loud enough to carry. I had a little sister, Lily, 5 years old. She followed me everywhere. I would find her sitting outside my bedroom door, drawing horses on scrap paper, waiting for me to come out. There was a brown suitcase in the hall closet. Leather, scuffed, old. My mother kept it on the top shelf. She used to say, that suitcase came with me the day I married your father. I did not know it would come with me too, just not the way she meant. The announcement came on a Thursday evening. Pot roast, green beans, the table set with the good plates, which should have been my first warning. My mother waited until everyone had food on their plate. That was her style. Trap you with politeness, then drop the hammer. Athena, you will be meeting Gerald Harmon this Sunday after church. She said it the way she said everything, like it was already decided. I put my fork down. Meeting him for what? To discuss the arrangement. She did not blink. Constance has been talking with his mother. He has a house, a steady job at the lumberyard. He is 32 and ready to settle down. 32. I was 17. Aunt Constance leaned back in her chair with a smile that said she had been waiting all week for this moment. Gerald is a good man. Steady. Reliable. You are lucky. I looked at my father. He was cutting his pot roast into very precise squares. He did not look up. I do not want to meet him, I said. The room changed temperature. My mother set her napkin down. Slowly, the way she did when she was about to say something she had rehearsed. This is not about what you want, Athena. This is about what this family needs. I would hear that sentence again. 12 years later, same words, same voice, same kitchen, different daughter. Under the table, Lily was playing with a plastic horse. She was too young to understand what was happening. She just knew the room had gone quiet and the adults had stopped eating. She looked up at me with those wide brown eyes and I smiled at her. Like everything was fine. Nothing was fine. I said no on a Sunday. My mother had laid out a dress on my bed that morning. Blue, knee-length, with a collar. The kind of dress you wear when you are being presented. I left it on the bed and came downstairs in jeans and a sweatshirt. Margaret saw me from the kitchen. Her mouth thinned to a line. Go change. I am not meeting him. The silence that followed was the kind that makes your ears ring. Aunt Constance was at the counter, slicing bread. She stopped mid-slice. My father picked up his newspaper. His vote, cast without a word. Athena. My mother's voice had dropped to that register she used when she wanted you to know she was not asking. This family has traditions. I married your father this way. Your Aunt Constance married this way. Your grandmother married this way. It works. It worked for you, I said. I want something different. Different. She said the word like it tasted bad. Different is what girls say when they want to end up alone. Aunt Constance set down the bread knife. Margaret, let me talk to her. No. My mother held up a hand. Athena knows what is expected. She has always known. I did know. I had known since I was 11 and watched my cousin Darlene get married at 18 to a man she had met 3 times. Darlene smiled at the wedding, but I saw her hands. They were shaking. I was not going to be Darlene. I am going to community college in the fall, I said. I have already applied. My mother stared at me. Then she turned to my father. He did not look up from the newspaper. She turned back to me. We will see about that. 3 days later, I woke up at 4 in the morning to the sound of zippers. My mother was in the hallway outside my bedroom. The brown suitcase was open on the floor. She was folding my clothes into it. Neatly. Precisely. The way she folded everything. I stood in the doorway. She did not look up. What are you doing? You made your choice, Athena. This is what it looks like. She had packed my jeans, 2 sweaters, my toothbrush, and the $37 from my nightstand drawer. She had not packed my yearbook. She had not packed the stuffed rabbit Lily gave me for my birthday. She packed what she thought I would need to survive. Nothing that would make me want to come back. My father was not home. He had left for work at 3:30. I know now he left early on purpose. He could not watch, and he could not stop it. So he chose not to be there. That was the most honest thing he ever did. I carried the suitcase to the front door. My mother opened it for me. The porch light was off. The street was empty. April, and the air still carried winter. When you are ready to come home and do what is right, you call, she said. Until then, you are not my daughter. I stepped through the door, the same suitcase she packed when she married my father. Now she packed it for my exile. I was halfway down the sidewalk when I heard the screen door. I turned. Lily was standing behind the glass, 5 years old, bare feet, pressing both palms against the screen. She did not cry. She just watched. I mouthed, I will come back for you. I did not know it would take 12 years. The first 3 months were the worst. I slept on my friend Tammy's couch for 6 weeks until her mother said I had to go. I understood. Extra mouth. Small apartment. No one's fault. I found a room in a boarding house on the east side of town, $40 a week. Shared bathroom. A lock on the door that worked only if you leaned against it. 2 jobs. Cashier at a gas station from 6 to 2. Cleaning crew at a medical office from 4 to 9. I ate peanut butter sandwiches for dinner and studied on the bus. I registered for community college in August. First day of classes, I showed up in the same jeans my mother had packed in that suitcase. I sent Lily a letter every month, a card for her 6th birthday, a drawing of a horse because she loved horses. Every single one came back, unopened. Same handwriting on the return label, my mother's. After the 7th returned letter, I stopped writing the word please on the envelope. I just wrote the address. I kept sending them anyway. 11 months. 11 letters. All returned. The town erased me. Aunt Constance made sure of it. I heard through Tammy that the story was simple. Athena left because she was ungrateful. Athena left because she thought she was too good for this family. Athena is probably living on the streets now. Serves her right. No one called. No one checked. No one drove 40 miles to see if I was alive. I turned 18 alone, ate a cupcake from the gas station, blew out an imaginary candle, made a wish. I wished for Lily to have a choice I never got. I did not know how long I would have to wait to help make that happen. Community college took me 3 years instead of 2 because I could only afford part-time, but I finished. Associate degree in paralegal studies. I walked across the stage in a borrowed gown and nobody in the audience was related to me. Tammy was there. My landlady from the boarding house was there. 2 professors who had written my recommendation letters were there. I transferred to a state university 60 miles further. Took student loans that made my stomach hurt. Finished in 2 more years. Paralegal certificate. Dean's list, last semester. I found a job posting that read like someone had written it for me. Women's Legal Shield seeks paralegal with family law experience. Mission: provide free legal support to women exiting forced marriages, domestic violence, and coercive control. I applied on a Thursday, interviewed on a Monday, started on a Wednesday. Diane Reeves ran the place. 45, silver streak in her hair, voice like a judge, and eyes like a grandmother. She had built the nonprofit from a folding table in a church basement 14 years ago. She saw something in me during the interview. I think she saw the suitcase. Not the physical one, the one I still carried inside. I was good at the work. Not because I was smart, because I had lived it. I knew how to read a woman's face when she sat in our office and said, "My family wants me to," and meant, "My family will destroy me if I do not." I knew the difference between tradition and control because I had stood on both sides of that line. I handled 12 forced marriage cases in my first year. 12 women who walked out of lives someone else had planned for them. I helped build their exits. I never forgot that no one had built mine. The call came on a Wednesday afternoon, October. I was at my desk reviewing a client's custody filing. My coffee was cold. The window was cracked open because the office radiator ran too hot. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. My old area code. I almost let it go to voicemail. Almost. Athena? My mother's voice. 12 years. The same cadence. The same way she said my name, like a sentence she was handing down. I did not speak for 4 seconds. In those 4 seconds, a small, stupid, stubborn part of me hoped she was calling to say, "I am sorry." I knew better, but hope does not care what you know. "Your sister is being difficult," Margaret said. "She needs to hear this from someone who understands what happens when you refuse." Refuse what? "Gerald Harmon has been speaking with Constance. He is ready to settle down again. Lily is of age." Of age? 17. The same age I had been. Gerald was 44 now, divorced once, back in the market for a bride from the community. "You want me to convince Lily to marry Gerald Harmon?" I said, flat, making her hear it out loud. "I want you to tell her the truth. That life alone is hard, that you wish you had listened. But that is not true." Silence. Then. "This is not about what you want, Athena. This is about what this family needs." Same sentence, 12 years later, word for word. Like she had kept it in a drawer next to the suitcase. In the background, I heard something. A small sound. A breath. Or a sob. Someone else was in the room. Someone was listening. My little sister was not 5 anymore. She was 17. And she was scared. I sat in my car in the parking lot for 40 minutes after that call. The engine was off. The windows were up. I held my phone in my lap like it was something fragile or something dangerous. Both. 12 years of silence. Not one birthday card. Not one returned call. Not one, "Are you alive?" And now she needed me. Not because she missed me. Not because she regretted what she did. Because Lily was doing exactly what I had done, and Margaret needed someone to shut it down. Same man. Same arrangement. Same age. Same kitchen, probably. Same good plates. I kept thinking about Lily at 5 years old, pressing her palms against the screen door. How she had watched me walk away and not cried. How I had mouthed, "I will come back for you," and then failed to keep that promise for over a decade. The guilt was not new. It lived in a room in my chest that I kept locked most of the time. I opened it when I worked late on a case. I opened it when I helped a 17-year-old client pack a bag. I opened it every time I imagined Lily growing up in that house, under that roof, with that woman shaping every decision. A knock on my window. Diane, standing in the parking lot with her coat over one arm and that look she had when she already knew something was wrong. I rolled the window down. "You look like someone just read their own obituary," she said. I told her everything. The call. Gerald. Lily. 17 years old? The same sentence my mother had said to me at the same age. Diane listened without interrupting. Then she said one thing. "How old is your sister?" 17. She nodded slowly. That nod meant something at Women's Legal Shield. The next morning, I started making calls. Social media first. Nothing. Lily had no accounts. No Facebook. No Instagram. Nothing. In our community, girls did not get phones until they were engaged. The internet was for men and for shopping. I tried the family landline. Aunt Constance picked up on the second ring. The moment she heard my voice, she said, "We will call you when we are ready," and hung up. 3 seconds. Not even enough time to say Lily's name. I called Tammy. She still lived in town, worked at the bank, kept her head down. She owed me nothing but gave me everything. "Gerald bought a ring last week," Tammy said. "Took Constance with him to pick it out. Your mother has been telling people Lily is thrilled. There is an introduction dinner planned for next month." "Is Lily thrilled?" Tammy paused. "I saw her at the grocery store last Saturday. She looked like she had not slept in a week." I asked about Gerald. Tammy lowered her voice. "His first wife left after 2 years, moved to Ohio. People say she said he was controlling. Your aunt told everyone the wife was the problem." Controlling. A 44-year-old man who needed his future bride's family to deliver her to him. A community that called control traditional values. I had seen this file before. Not this exact one, but dozens like it. The names changed. The zip codes changed. The dynamic never did. I opened my laptop at work and ran Gerald Harmon through every public database I had access to. Marriage record, divorce filing, property records. Nothing criminal, nothing on paper. The dangerous ones rarely left a paper trail. They left women who moved to Ohio and never came back. I needed to hear from Lily directly. The text came at 11:14 on a Tuesday night. Unknown number. "Is this Athena?" "It is Lily. I borrowed my friend Becca's phone. Please do not tell anyone." I stared at the screen for 10 seconds. Then I typed back, "It is me. I am here. Take your time." 3 dots. Then nothing. Then 3 dots again. Then, "Mom says I have to meet Gerald on Sunday. She says he has a house and a good job and I should be grateful. Aunt Constance says you ruined your life by saying no, and that I should learn from your mistake. Dad does not say anything." I closed my eyes. 12 years and nothing had changed. Not the script. Not the players. Not the silence from my father that said everything by saying nothing. "Did you really just leave?" Lily wrote. "How did you do it?" I wanted to tell her it was brave. That I walked out with my head high and never looked back. But that would have been a lie. "I was terrified," I wrote. "I was 17 and I had $37 and a suitcase I did not pack myself. I slept on a couch for 6 weeks. I ate peanut butter for dinner for a year. It was the hardest thing I have ever done. But was it worth it? Yes. Every day." Silence for 2 minutes. Then, "Mom told me you call her crying every night begging to come home. She said you live in a terrible apartment and you regret everything." My jaw tightened. Not from anger. From 12 years of letters returned unopened. 12 years of a story built about me that I never got to correct. "Lily, none of that is true. None of it." I sent her a photo of my apartment, my desk, my co-workers at the holiday party, my life. Oh, she wrote. Just that. Oh. Over the next week, Lily texted me every night between 11 and midnight, always from Becca's phone. She told me everything. How my mother had rewritten my story completely. In the version Margaret told, I was homeless, addicted, desperate, calling every week to beg for forgiveness. If your sister had just listened to me, Margaret would say at dinner, shaking her head, she would have had a good life. Aunt Constance added her own chapters. In her version, I had shown up at the church one Christmas, skinny and crying, and Margaret had to turn me away, for the family's sake. That never happened. I had not been within 50 miles of that church in 12 years. Lily had grown up believing her older sister was a cautionary tale, a ghost story told at dinner to keep her in line. I thought you were suffering, Lily wrote. I thought leaving was the worst thing that could happen. The worst thing that could happen, I wrote back, is staying somewhere that teaches you your only value is obedience. I sent her more photos. My office, the view from my apartment window, Diane and me at a fundraiser. Small things, real things, evidence. Lily started asking questions, not about me, about herself. Can you go to college if your family does not pay? Can you get an apartment at 17? What happens if you just say no? Each question broke my heart a little. She was asking the same things I had asked at her age, except I had no one to ask. You can say no, I told her. And if they make no feel impossible, there are people who will help you find a way out. I know because I work with them every day. She did not respond for 20 minutes. Then, I am scared. That is okay. Scared and moving is better than scared and staying. My mother called again on a Friday afternoon. This time her voice was different, softer, warmer. The voice she used when she wanted something and knew sweetness worked better than force. Athena, honey, I have been thinking. It has been too long. Why do you not come home for dinner next Saturday? The whole family will be here. We can talk. Like a family. Like a family. The phrase sat in my ear like a stone. Constance is making her pot roast. Your father. She paused, and I heard a shuffle, then a different voice. Deeper. Slower. Come home, Athena. My father. 3 words. The first 3 words he had spoken directly to me since I was 17 years old. My throat closed. Something cracked inside me that I thought I had cemented shut years ago. I knew what the dinner was. I had read the group chat screenshots. I had seen the plan. But hearing my father's voice, that was something I was not prepared for. That was the one weapon my mother had not used before. I called Diane that night. They invited me to dinner, I said. Of course they did. Diane was making tea. I could hear the kettle. They need you in the room. You are the leverage. I know. So what do you want to do? I want to go, because it is the only way I get FaceTime with Lily. Diane set the kettle down. Then go in with a plan. Do not go in with hope. Go in with a plan. I hung up and sat at my kitchen table for an hour. Then I opened my laptop and started a checklist. The same kind I made for clients. Step by step. Exit by exit. This time the client was my sister. The night before the dinner, Lily sent me something that changed everything. 4 screenshots. A family group chat. Participants. Mom, Dad, Aunt Constance, Uncle Dean, Uncle Paul. I read them in order. Margaret. Athena is coming Saturday. She will talk to Lily. This will be settled. Aunt Constance. And if Athena does not cooperate? Margaret. Then we go to Plan B. Gerald comes to the dinner himself. He meets Lily in person. Face to face is harder to refuse. Uncle Dean. Good. The sooner this is done, the better. Margaret. One more thing. Lily does not leave the house until after the dinner. No errands, no visits. I do not want her talking to anyone. I read the messages 3 times. The 3rd time, I stopped looking for love in them. This was not a family dinner. This was an operation. I was not a guest. I was a tool. And if I did not perform, they had a backup tool named Gerald. The timestamps were all from the same afternoon. 3:27, 3:29, 3:31. They had planned this in minutes. Clinical. Efficient. Like scheduling a delivery. Lily had added one more message. Becca helped me screenshot these before Mom took my phone. They do not know I saw them. I saved every screenshot to a secure folder. Backed it up to the cloud. Saved it to a flash drive. 3 copies. Force of habit. In my work, evidence disappeared. I sat on my bed and looked at those timestamps on my phone screen until the numbers blurred. 3:27. 3:29. 3:31. My mother, my father, my aunt, my uncles. Planning how to deliver a 17-year-old girl to a 44-year-old man. In 4 minutes. I closed my eyes. When I opened them, I was done hoping. If you are watching this and you have ever read a message that finally showed you who your family really is, not who you hoped they were, but who they actually are, hit that subscribe button. Because this story is about what happens when you stop hoping and start planning. Stay with me. Thursday morning, 2 days before the dinner. I was in Diane's office at 7:30. I need to build an exit for my sister, I said. Diane pushed her coffee aside. Walk me through it. Step 1. Emergency shelter. I called Safe Harbor, the women's shelter 2 counties over. They had a bed available. Confirmed through Friday of the following week. Intake coordinator's name, Sandra. Direct line saved in my phone. Step 2. Social worker. Diane connected me with Helen Park from County Services. Helen had handled 6 forced marriage cases in the past 3 years. She understood the dynamics. She agreed to be on standby Saturday evening. Step 3. Local police notification. Not a report. Not an arrest. A heads up. I called the non-emergency line and spoke with a sergeant. Explained the situation. Minor being pressured into marriage. Family dinner might escalate. He said, "Call us if you need us. We will be in the area." Step 4. Contact information. I wrote down 3 numbers on a card small enough to fit in a pocket. Shelter intake line. Helen's direct number. My cell. Laminated it at the office copy machine. Step 5. Lily's choice. This was the one that mattered most. I could build every bridge in the world, but Lily had to decide to cross. I could not carry her. I could not make the decision for her. She had to say the word. "We do not rescue," Diane said, reading my face. "We create exits." I know. You also know this is not a client. This is your sister. That makes it harder. That makes it necessary. She looked at me for a long moment. Then she opened her calendar. "I am coming with you Saturday. Do not argue." I did not argue. Saturday afternoon. I drove 3 hours east on the interstate, then 20 minutes on county roads that narrowed like a funnel until I was back in the town I had not seen in 12 years. Smaller than I remembered. Or maybe I was bigger. The gas station where I had worked was still there. Different sign. Same parking lot. The boarding house was gone, replaced by a storage unit facility. Tammy's mother's apartment complex had new siding. And then the house. Same white siding, graying at the edges. Same chain link fence. Same magnolia tree in the front yard that my father planted the year I was born, now taller than the roof. The garden was overgrown. The mailbox was rusted. The front door. I sat in the car and looked at it for 30 seconds. The same door. 12 years. The paint was lighter where the sun hit it. Everything else was darker. Diane sat in the passenger seat. She did not rush me. She just waited. I got out. Walked up the path. Rang the bell. My mother opened the door and pulled me into a hug before I could brace myself. Her arms, her perfume, her chin on my shoulder. My body remembered it before my brain caught up. For 3 seconds I was 5 years old and everything was warm and safe and simple. Then she pulled back, held my face in both hands and said, "You look thin, honey. Come eat." Behind her, the house smelled like pot roast and floor polish. The hallway was the same. The photos on the wall were the same, except mine had been removed. A bright rectangle on the wallpaper where my school portrait used to hang. I stepped inside, Diane behind me. The door closed. I was home. Except it was not home anymore. The table was set for 8. Good plates again. Same ones from 12 years ago. Margaret had filled every seat. Robert at the head, silent as always. Aunt Constance across from me, already watching me like I was a math problem she intended to solve. Uncle Dean, thick-necked and jovial, slapping the table when he laughed. Uncle Paul, quieter, picking at the bread. And Lily. She sat at the far end next to Aunt Constance, 17. Dark hair like mine. She had my mother's jawline and my father's quiet eyes. She wore a gray sweater that was too big for her and kept pulling the sleeves over her hands. She did not look at me when I sat down. She looked at her plate. But when Constance turned to refill her glass, Lily glanced up for half a second. Just long enough. Just enough for me to see it. She was terrified. "Look at this," Margaret said, gesturing at the table with both hands. "The whole family together. It has been too long." She said it like I had been on vacation, like I had chosen to be away, like the suitcase on the porch at 4 a.m. was a misunderstanding. Aunt Constance smiled at me. "You look thin, Athena. Living alone is not good for a woman." "I do not live alone," I said. "I have a roommate." I did not. But Constance did not need to know that. Margaret steered the conversation. Weather. The new pharmacy in town. Uncle Dean's truck. Safe topics, gentle currents, carrying us all toward the real conversation she had planned for after dinner. Lily ate nothing. She moved food around her plate with a fork, building small walls out of green beans. I watched her hands. They were steady. That was something. After the plates were cleared, my mother asked me to come to the living room. Just the two of us. Her tone was casual. Her eyes were not. The living room had not changed. Same couch. Same cross on the wall. Same family Bible on the side table with the cracked spine. Margaret sat across from me and folded her hands in her lap. "You have been out there 12 years, she said. "You know what life is like alone. How hard it is. How lonely." She paused. "Your sister does not need to learn that lesson the hard way." "What lesson?" "That a woman alone is a woman unfinished." I let that sit in the air between us. Unfinished. Like a woman without a husband was a half-built house. Like everything I had done, the degrees, the career, the life, was scaffolding around an empty room. "Tell Lily to accept Gerald," Margaret said. "Tell her you regret what you did. Tell her that if you had married Gerald when you had the chance, your life would have been better. But none of that is true. Then make it the truth." Her voice did not rise. It dropped. That was worse. "This is not about what you want, Athena. This is about what this family needs." Third time, same words, engraved in her. I heard the front doorbell ring. Uncle Dean answered it. A voice in the hallway, deep, practiced, confident. Gerald Harmon had arrived. My mother watched my face. She had known he was coming. This was Plan B, executed on schedule. Gerald in the house, Lily in the next room, me in the middle. "Go say hello," Margaret said, "and then go talk to your sister." I stood up, but not to obey. Gerald Harmon stood in the hallway like he owned it. Gray suit, gold watch, polished shoes. The kind of man who spent money on looking dependable because the reality was something else. He was 44 but carried himself like he was doing everyone a favor by showing up. Smile wide, handshake firm. The kind of confidence that comes from never being told no by anyone who mattered. "Athena." He said my name the way you'd greet an old acquaintance at a reunion. "The one who got away." He laughed. Nobody else did. Uncle Dean clapped Gerald on the shoulder. "Good to see you, son. Glad this is finally happening." Aunt Constance took his coat. "Gerald, Lily is in the kitchen. She is a little shy. You know how girls are." Gerald looked past everyone and found Lily in the doorway. She was standing with her arms crossed, sleeves pulled down, shoulders up near her ears. He smiled at her the way you smile at something you have already decided to buy. "There she is," he said. "Prettier than the pictures." Lily did not smile back. I watched from across the room. The same room where my mother had announced my arrangement 12 years ago. Same table, same plates, different daughter being offered to the same man. Gerald was 15 years older than he had been when my mother tried to hand me to him. Gray at the temples, lines around his mouth. But the entitlement was the same. The assumption that he deserved a young woman from this community because he had money and a house, and the right last name. I looked at Lily. She looked at me. And in that look, I saw everything I needed to see. She was not going to survive this on her own. I touched Lily's elbow. Can we talk outside? Just us? My mother's eyes lit up. She thought this was it. The moment I would deliver her script. Go ahead, girls. Take your time. The backyard was small and dark. A floodlight over the garage. The magnolia tree blocked most of the glow from the kitchen windows. We stood by the fence. Lily's breath was visible in the cold air. Lily. She started crying before I could say anything else. Not loud, just steady, silent tears tracking down her face. I do not want to marry him, she whispered. I do not want to marry anyone. I want to go to school. I want to leave. But Mom says if I leave, I will end up like you. And I used to think that meant I would end up miserable. But then you sent me those photos and I realized. She stopped, wiped her face. She lied about everything. Yes, she did. So what do? I reached into my coat pocket and pulled out the laminated card. 3 numbers. Shelter. Social worker. Me. You do not have to decide tonight, I said. But I need you to know there is a door. A real one. With people on the other side who will help you walk through it. Lily took the card, turned it over, read each number. 12 years ago, Mom packed a suitcase for me, I said. She decided what I took. She decided when I left. She decided it meant shame. I put my hand over hers. If you go, you pack your own bag. You leave on your own terms. And it does not mean shame. It means you chose yourself. Lily put the card in her back pocket. I am scared. That is okay. Scared and walking beats scared and standing still. She nodded, wiped her face again, straightened her shoulders. We went back inside. My mother met us in the hallway. Well? Margaret's voice was bright, expectant, like she was waiting for good news. We talked, I said. And? I told her what I know. Margaret searched my face. She wanted specifics. She wanted me to say she will do it. I gave her nothing. She decided to hear what she wanted. Good. Good. She squeezed my arm. Come sit down. Gerald brought wine. In the dining room, Gerald had pulled his chair closer to Lily's empty seat. He was telling Uncle Dean about a hunting property he was looking at. Aunt Constance was arranging dessert plates. Robert was in his chair, staring at the wall above the television like it contained something only he could see. Lily came in behind me. She sat down. Gerald turned to her with that practiced smile. So, Lily, your mother tells me you like to draw. Yes. What do you draw? Horses. I have a barn, plenty of room for horses. He said it like he was closing a real estate deal. Square footage, amenities, terms. Under the table, my phone vibrated. I glanced down. Diane. Shelter confirmed. Room available tonight. Sandra is on call until midnight. Say the word. I typed back. Stand by. Aunt Constance poured Gerald more wine. Uncle Dean raised a toast. To family. Everyone lifted their glasses. Lily held hers but did not drink. I watched the room. 6 adults arranging a teenager's future over pot roast and wine. Smiling. Toasting. Acting like this was normal because they had convinced themselves it was. I thought about the group chat. 327, 329, 331. Plan B. Executed to schedule. My phone was in my lap. The shelter was 1 call away. Lily excused herself to use the bathroom. Nobody thought anything of it. 5 minutes passed, then 8, then 12. Aunt Constance looked at the hallway. She has been gone a while. Margaret turned to me. Go check on her. I did not move. I knew what Lily was doing. She had the card. She had the numbers. I had told her the shelter had a room tonight. If she was in that bathroom with Becca's phone, she was calling Sandra right now. Give her a minute, I said. She was emotional earlier. Let her breathe. Margaret's eyes narrowed. The warmth she had been performing all evening thinned to a wire. She knew me well enough to recognize stalling when she saw it. She stood up and walked down the hallway. I heard her knock, then knock harder, then try the handle. Lily? Open this door. Silence. Margaret came back to the dining room. Her face was white. She is not in the bathroom. Everyone stood at once. Robert, Uncle Dean, Uncle Paul. Gerald set his wine down. Aunt Constance grabbed the edge of the table. The front door is open, Uncle Paul said from the hallway. They found Lily on the front porch. Phone pressed to her ear. She was talking to someone and her voice was quiet but clear. She saw Margaret coming and took a step back. Then another. Down the porch steps. Onto the walkway. Who are you calling? Margaret's voice cracked. Who told you to call someone? Lily looked past her mother. At me, standing in the doorway. Margaret turned around. Slow. The realization landing on her face like a slap. You, she said. One word. Everything in it. Me, I said. The porch was crowded now. Margaret, Robert, Constance, Dean, Paul, Gerald. All of them standing under the yellow porch light, staring at Lily on the walkway with a phone to her ear and at me in the doorway. You did not come here to help, Margaret said. Her voice was rising. You came here to ruin this. I came because you invited me. I invited you to talk sense into your sister, not to do whatever this is. Aunt Constance stepped forward, pointing a finger at me. I told you, Margaret. I told you 12 years ago. This girl has no loyalty, no respect. She poisons everything she touches. Uncle Dean shook his head. This is a family matter. Athena, you need to let your mother handle this. Gerald remained on the porch, arms crossed. His jaw was tight. Do you have any idea what I have invested in this arrangement? I looked at him. Invested. Interesting word for a marriage. I have been patient. I have been generous. I have been talking to your family for months. You have been talking to her family, I said. You have not been talking to her. Margaret cut in. Enough. Lily, hang up that phone and come inside right now. Lily shook her head. She was still on the phone, tears on her face, but she did not move toward the house. I stepped off the porch and stood between Lily and the rest of them. Not aggressively. Just there, a line drawn with my body. Athena, you do not know what you are doing, my mother said. You are going to destroy this family. This family was destroyed 12 years ago, Mom. You just were not paying attention. The silence after that lasted 4 seconds. It felt like a year. Lily hung up the phone. She slid it into her pocket, wiped her face with the back of her hand. Then she walked back toward the porch. Not toward the door. Toward my mother. She stopped 3 feet away, close enough to be heard without raising her voice. I called a shelter, Lily said. Someone is coming to pick me up. Margaret's face collapsed. A shelter? You do not need a shelter. You have a home. I need somewhere safe. This is safe. This is your family. Lily looked at me, then back at Margaret. You packed a suitcase for Athena. You do not get to pack one for me. The words landed like a stone dropped into still water, rings spreading outward. Aunt Constance put her hand over her mouth. Uncle Dean took a step back. Robert gripped the porch railing. Margaret stared at Lily, her youngest, the one she thought she still controlled. The one who was supposed to be the obedient version of the daughter she threw away. You ungrateful, Constance started. Constance. I said her name once. Firm. She stopped. Gerald uncrossed his arms. This is absurd. I am not going to stand here and be embarrassed by a child. Then leave, I said. The door is right there. He looked at Margaret. Margaret looked at him, then at Lily, then at me. She was calculating. I could see it happening behind her eyes, the story she would tell the community. the narrative she would need to construct. But for the first time, the narrative was not cooperating. Both daughters, standing in the yard, refusing. Gerald pulled his keys from his pocket. I did not come here for this. No, I said. You came here for a 17-year-old girl. And she said no. He left without saying goodbye. Gerald's car pulled out of the driveway. His taillights disappeared down the street. One problem gone, the rest still standing on the porch. Margaret changed tactics. The anger dissolved into tears. Fast. Practiced. She covered her face with both hands and her shoulders began to shake. You are killing me, she said. Both of you. You are killing your mother. Uncle Dean put an arm around her. This is not right. These girls need to show some respect. Uncle Paul, quieter. Maybe we should all calm down. Calm down? Margaret dropped her hands. Her face was red and wet. My daughters are standing in my yard calling a shelter like I am some kind of monster. Robert spoke. For the second time in 12 years he spoke. Athena. His voice was low, hard. You already broke this family once. Do not do it again. That one hurt. Not because it was true, because it was the most he had ever said to me, and he used it to blame me. I looked at my father. I did not break this family, Dad. I survived it. He looked away. Back to the wall. Back to the nothing he always stared at. Headlights turned into the driveway. Diane's car. She got out first, coat on, folder under her arm. Behind her, a woman in her 30s with a county lanyard. Helen Park. Social worker. Margaret's tears stopped. Instantly, like a faucet. Who are these people? She said. You brought strangers to my house? Diane walked up the path. Professional. Steady. She had done this 100 times. Good evening. My name is Diane Reeves. I am the director of Women's Legal Shield. This is Helen Park from County Social Services. She said it loud enough for every neighbor to hear. And in this town, neighbors heard everything. Nobody moved for 3 seconds. Margaret stood on the porch with mascara tracking down both cheeks, staring at 2 women she did not know standing on her walkway. You brought outsiders into a family matter, she said. Her voice was quiet, dangerous. I stepped forward. This stopped being a family matter when you started planning to hand a 17-year-old to a man twice her age. That is not what this is. Then let me read you what it is. I pulled out my phone, opened the screenshots, held the screen where the porch light caught it. Margaret Foster, 3/27 Saturday. Quote, Athena is coming Saturday. She will talk to Lily. This will be settled. I swiped. Constance, 3/28. And if Athena does not cooperate? Margaret, 3/29. Then we go to Plan B. Gerald comes to the dinner himself. He meets Lily in person. Face to face is harder to refuse. I swiped again. My voice did not rise. Each sentence was flat, measured, the way I read case files. Margaret, 3:31. One more thing. Lily does not leave the house until after the dinner. No errands, no visits. I do not want her talking to anyone. I lowered the phone, looked at my mother. You confined a minor to the house so she could not seek help. You arranged for a 44-year-old man to pressure her in person, and you brought me here to be the first line of that pressure. Aunt Constance's face was gray. Uncle Dean had taken his arm off Margaret's shoulder. Uncle Paul was staring at the ground. Robert stood at the railing. He did not deny any of it. He had been in the group chat. His name was on the timestamps. The phone screen glowed between us. Evidence. Timestamps. Their own words. Margaret broke first. Those were private messages, private family conversations. You had no right. Lily had every right. They were about her. She is a child. She does not get to. She is a child. That is exactly the point. Aunt Constance pivoted. She turned to Margaret, voice sharp. I told you not to call her. I said 12 years ago, that girl will bring nothing but trouble. But you had to try. Margaret spun on her sister. You told me this arrangement would be simple. You said Gerald was a good match. He is a good match. He has money. He has a house. What more do you want? A good match for who? Diane asked from the walkway. Her voice was calm, professional, not accusatory. Worse, clinical. A 44-year-old divorced man pursuing a 17-year-old through her family. That is not a match. That is a transaction. Gerald's name hung in the air like smoke. Robert sat down on the porch chair. He put his elbows on his knees and his face in his hands. He said nothing. That was his contribution. The same contribution he had made 12 years ago when his wife put a suitcase on the porch at 4 a.m. Uncle Dean tried authority. Now listen here. This is a family tradition. We have done this for generations. You people do not understand how we do things. Helen Park spoke for the first time. Quiet. Direct. I understand that a minor has requested safe housing away from her family. Under state law, she has that right. Uncle Dean opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. Nothing came out. The porch was silent except for the crickets and the distant hum of a neighbor's television. Margaret looked at me like I was a stranger. Maybe I was. The stranger her daughter had to become to survive. Something shifted in my mother's face. The anger drained. The performance drained. What was left was something I had never seen before. She looked tired. Not the tired of a long day. The tired of a long life spent holding a shape that was never hers to begin with. She sat down on the porch step. Right there, in front of everyone. Her hands in her lap. Fingers laced. I was 17, she said. Quiet. Almost to herself. When your grandmother arranged my marriage to your father, I did not want to go. I cried for 3 days. She told me crying was selfish. She looked up at me. Her eyes were wet but not performing. I went anyway. I married your father. I had you. I had Lily. I built a life from what I was given. And I survived. For 1 second, 1 single second, I saw her. Not Margaret the villain. Not Margaret the controller. Margaret the girl who was also 17 once. Who also had a suitcase packed for her. Who also stood at a door she did not choose. Mom, I said. Then her eyes hardened. The softness closed like a window slamming shut. And you will thank me, she said. Her voice was steel again. Both of you. Lily will thank me. The way I thanked my mother. Because this is how it works. This is how it has always worked. She chose it. Right there, in front of everyone, she had a moment where she could have broken the cycle. She could have said, I understand. She could have said, I was wrong. She reached the fork in the road and she turned back. She chose tradition over her daughters. Not because she was evil, because admitting she was wrong meant admitting her entire life had been built on something she never consented to. That was a truth too heavy for her to carry. Margaret stood up, wiped her face, straightened her blouse. When she spoke, her voice was the one I remembered from 12 years ago. Cold. Final. Get out of my house. Both of you. And do not come back. Aunt Constance nodded. Good riddance. Uncle Dean shook his head. Uncle Paul stared at his shoes. I looked at my mother. The last time you said that to me, I was 17. I had nothing. No money. No car. No job. No one. I paused. Looked at Diane, standing steady on the walkway. At Helen, with her county lanyard and her legal authority. At Lily, standing beside me with her chin up and her eyes clear. This time, I said, I am not leaving alone. Margaret's jaw tightened. This is not about what you want, Athena. Last time. Those words. One final rotation of the phrase she had built her whole life around. You are right, I said. It never was about what I wanted. And that is exactly the problem. I turned to Lily. She had a small bag over her shoulder. Not a suitcase. A backpack. She had packed it herself. We walked down the porch steps together. Down the walkway. Past the magnolia tree. Past the rusted mailbox. Through the gate. The front door. The same door I had walked through at 17 with a suitcase someone else packed. Now I walked through it at 29 with my sister beside me and 2 women behind us who did this work because it mattered. Behind us, Margaret said something. I did not hear it. I did not need to. Lily looked back once. Then she turned forward. The door was behind us. Everything else was ahead. She packed a suitcase for me when I was 17. 12 years later, she tried to do the same to my sister. If you are still watching, it means something in this story hit close. Hit subscribe, drop a comment and tell me, have you ever walked through the same door twice, but the second time, you were not afraid? Diane drove. Lily sat in the back seat with her backpack on her lap. I sat next to her. The town shrank in the rearview mirror. The church steeple, then the water tower, then nothing but dark road and pine trees. Helen explained the next steps from the front seat. Temporary housing at Safe Harbor. Intake tonight. Enrollment in a GED program starting next week. Legal consultation on Monday to establish Lily as an independent minor. You will have a caseworker, Helen said. Her name is Ruth. She is good. She will check in every week. Lily nodded. She was looking out the window at the dark fields passing by. Athena, she said quietly. Yeah? Were you scared? When you left the first time? Every single day. Does it get better? It gets different. Then it gets yours. Then yes, it gets better. She was quiet for a mile, then, I do not have a suitcase, I just grabbed my backpack. I looked at the backpack on her lap. Small, purple, the kind a high school kid carries. Inside it, probably, the laminated card, some clothes, a phone charger, whatever she could fit in 5 minutes. We will get you a suitcase, I said. A new one that nobody packed for you. She almost smiled. Not quite, but close. Diane caught my eye in the rearview mirror. She did not say anything. She did not need to. She had driven this road before, with other women, other girls, other backseat conversations about suitcases and starting over. The highway opened up ahead of us. 3 lanes, city lights in the distance, room to move, room to breathe. Lily fell asleep somewhere around mile 40, her head against the window. Her backpack clutched to her chest. She was safe. 2 weeks later, Lily was enrolled in a GED program at the community center near Safe Harbor. She had a room of her own, a desk, a window that looked out on a parking lot, but it was her window. I drove 3 hours every Saturday to visit. We ate takeout on her bed and she showed me her homework. She was good at math, better than me. She had started drawing again. Not just horses this time, buildings, bridges, structures that went somewhere.